Hey everyone, Shante Kumar here. Thanks for joining me again. So today I'm going to be talking with you about that third element that makes up the romantic relationship style. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to start off with a small blessing, if I may. May today be the day that you begin to believe in all the good that the universe has in store for you, and you begin to be open to receiving it. Now, okay, now that's out of the way. So, as you know, I've been coming to you guys live now for the last couple days, and I've been sharing the three elements that make up the romantic relationship style that everybody falls into, right? One of the four, which were once again the Chihuahua, the German Shepherd, the Alaskan Malamute, and the Doberman Pinscher. And so the last couple of days, I shared how the first two elements, which are the adult attachment style and the love blocks, affect and influence how we think and how we behave in our romantic relationships. So today, I'm going to be sharing the last and third element, which are the core beliefs, and how knowing about these core beliefs can help improve how we show up and what we receive as our romantic relationships and the partners that we attract. So I'm going to begin kind of like with a little story about why it's so important to know about the core beliefs. And it was let's see, it was in the spring. I think it was almost 2 years ago. And it was a rainy day. It was foggy outside. It was really lovely because, I like my comfy clothes. And I had just completed doing an in-person workshop at our local library, which I really enjoyed doing. I really like being live and with the people, getting that human engagement and that in-person energetic exchange just really enlivens me. So had a really great workshop. And it was while I was packing up and putting away all my stuff that one of the young ladies who had been in my workshop came back in. And, I was kind of surprised because she was participating, but a little quieter. So, she left and I assumed she was just going on her way, but no, she came back. And she said she wanted to talk with me, but she didn't want to, engage when there were other people in the room. And it's because what she wanted to share was really personal for her, and it was hard for her to get out. And I asked her, well, was there a certain part of the workshop that really spoke to you? And she said, yeah, it was a part about the core beliefs. And she said this was because she wanted to know if her core beliefs could be the reason, or at least part of the reason, why it was so hard for her to let go of her ex-boyfriend. See, they had broken up almost a year ago, but she was still focused on him and on the relationship. She couldn't get him out of her mind. You know how that goes, right? When you really are invested in something and you put your whole all into it and then it's gone, sometimes it's hard to let go of that. And she thought about him all the time. She was always comparing anybody new that she met or that her friends wanted her to date to this guy. And she said she was doing that even though she knew he wasn't necessarily the best guy. He was very controlling. He was emotionally manipulative. He would tell her things like, oh, you're not really my type physically, and you would look better if you lost some weight, and he would tell her, she wasn't as smart as his other past girlfriends. And, he was used to people doing more for him. And that just because she went to college, she wasn't more intelligent than him. He could have gone to college too, but he had to work for a living, stuff like that, right? So honestly, he was kind of an ass, but he wasn't an ass all the time, which is why she could put up with it. But what happened was they ended up breaking up. And it's because she found out that he was actually seeing her best friend on the side. And so now she was a year later, still boyfriendless, best friendless, and just feeling less than in all the areas of her life. And so she started crying at that point. And, of course, I'm giving her a hug and trying to console her, because that's what you do, right? When people are crying on you and sharing their pain, and you can feel that, right? I hadn't been in that specific experience, but I knew pain, and I knew the loss of a relationship that I cared very much for and really wanted to have. So, I'm comforting her, and I'm letting her know the truth. Because she was like, what did I do to deserve this? Why does this happen to me? Why is it people I love and I trust, they always break my trust? This tended to be a cycle for many of her romantic relationships that she'd been in the past. And so she was feeling like it was all on her. She was the one who was causing this to happen. And I told her, and that she deserved it. And I said, no, you don't deserve it. No one deserves to have their love and their trust betrayed. Like, no one deserves that, right, in life. I think we could all agree to that. I did tell her, though, that it is possible and likely that her core beliefs, along with the other things we've been talking about this week, were in fact influencing her decisions and her actions and how she was showing up in life and what she was then attracting. And so I sat with her for a while. We had a little bit more of a discussion about core beliefs. I gave her some action steps, some practical things that she could do to start working on it. And I gave her the option to, contact me if she wanted to go further. She didn't, and that's okay. I know I'm not for everybody. And she went on her way, feeling lighter, at least, from having let go of that load. You know how it is when you hold on to something sometimes so much and just really weighs you down. When you finally express it, when you let off that pressure gauge, it really just lets in a new space, right? For new things to begin and for new things to start to take shape. And so I could see that by the time that we stopped talking, she felt a little better. And, I gave her what I could in the time that we had. And she had a choice to make regarding continuing it with me or not. And I was fine with that either way. As long as I know that I was there to help and to serve, and she got what she needed, then that was good for me and my heart. And what I wanted to bring up, though, was that, even though it's weird, we get into situations, we get in relationships with people, and after a while we can start to know that this is not it. This is not the deal, right? And yet we stay there. What is that about? You remain actually, giving yourself all this extra pain and this relationship or this partnership or situation with a person, and that it is not ideal. That this is causing you stress and anxiety. And, the thing is, why do we stay there, right? Well, part of it is, it's some fear. It's fear of being alone, fear of being wrong, fear of being a failure, fear of retaliation if you leave that person. For some of us, I know I felt that fear when I had been in a previous relationship. And, there were many signs that showed that we should not be together. And I stuck it out because many of those fears I just named. I didn't want to be a failure. I was the one all my friends came to about relationships, and now I can't make mine work. Who am I to say anything? That sort of thing, right? I had a lot of stuff going on in here. So there's lots of reasons why. But what I realized, for the majority of people, the main fear that comes up is fear of the unknown. See, even though we know that person, that relationship is no bueno, we don't want to leave it because we don't know what we're going to get instead, right? We might end up with absolutely nothing now. So at least this is something, even though it sucks, right? But I mean, think about what that means. That means your survival brain, your ego is at play, telling you that if you don't have this, you may have nothing. And if you have nothing, you may not survive, right? Your survival brain, your ego was created to keep us safe and to make sure that we could survive. So when you let go of the things that a part of you feels like you're going to die. And it's actually true. So don't try to trick yourself that it's not true, because it is. A part of you is going to die. It's a part of you that has been making these decisions and that has been creating these outcomes over and over and over again. So you've become used to being that person. You've become used to having those results in your life. So when your survival brain comes up, brings up all these fears and all these doubts and all these worries, I mean, you can't get mad at it, right? Because it has some validation. It is true. A part of you is going to cease to exist. But the funny thing is that if we actually decide to go forward anyway, we can start to grow. There's a saying that you can't, what is it? Growth is on the other side of your comfort zone. It's on that boundary. So when you come up against that ego, when you come up against that survival brain, that's really just a warning to let you know, hey, you're entering into uncharted territory, and I'm scared of what that means. That's it, right? That's all that is. So you accept that and you say, okay, yeah, I understand that. It is kind of scary, but it is necessary, because you cannot evolve and grow where you currently are. You cannot evolve and grow in that situation. You must allow yourself to go beyond it. And there's some risk in that, right? There's risk definitely in wanting to live outside of that and live and go beyond what you know. But there are ways that we can minimize that risk. And one of those ways is to know and understand your core beliefs. See, our core beliefs are key components of what actually makes up our self-image, and they become a dominant feature in how we experience life and how we perceive what is happening to us in our lives. So for example, if you feel like you're deserving or not deserving of certain things, your core beliefs, your dominant thoughts, are going to bring up certain feelings in you. You're going to act from those feelings, right? So then your actions are going to come out, create some kind of outcome, and you're going to take that outcome as evidence that either your belief was right or not. And depending on that is how you're going to continue that cycle. And that's all it is. So a lot of times, if you have the belief, like a friend of mine recently told me that the universe, is actually against her. And she said, but it's true because of all the things that have happened in my life. And I'm like, well, yeah, but your actions most likely helped to create the results that proved you were right about the universe not being on your side. But what if you had a different feeling about that? What would it feel like to be different, to have a different thought? Not even to have the thought, just start with what would it feel like to feel differently about that, and begin there. So a lot of times, if you don't know what your core beliefs are and what those feelings are related to them, you're going to continue to receive and attract the same people, the same relationships over and over again. It's why it can feel like, you're dating the same person, even though they've got a different name and they look totally different. And yet they're just like your ex, or you find the same issues keep coming up, right? And keep rearing their head when you guys are together. That is one of the things at play here, your core beliefs. So your core beliefs are kind of like your recipe that you're following for your life. But just like any good recipe, you can always add in or subtract or substitute the things that are not working for you or that you aren't in alignment with. So now you can have a recipe that you really like and you really enjoy. I do this all the time. I'll get a recipe for something and I'm like, I'm not really sure about nutmeg. I'm going to keep out the nutmeg and maybe I'll add in something else, right? Maybe I'll add in some cinnamon instead, see what happens, right? And go with that. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to talk about how your core beliefs are not set in stone. It is something that you can manipulate. You just have to know what's there so you can decide what to keep, what to substitute, and just what to altogether throw out. So, if any of this resonates with you, if you're interested in knowing more about how to do that, how to identify, uncover, and control your core beliefs so you can finally start creating a relationship that's full of the support that you want, that's secure and stable with an emotionally mature and available man, then you need to comment I do below. Or, if you're a little shy like homegirl, you don't want people to know that you have some things you want to work on, that's cool too. Boo, I got you. Just go ahead and email me at Shante at xoxoCoach.com, or you can send me a DM. Either way, I'll get back to you. I will actually send you a PDF that you can use to start uncovering those core beliefs like right now, right away. So you can see where you are on the continuum. And because there's a big set of core beliefs, but there's a common set that most people have. And you can see where you fall in line in there and see which beliefs are strongest for you and which ones are not, and which ones you might want to start incorporating or realize you need to substitute in to your recipe. I'll also send you a link to my free masterclass. We'll all be going into more detail about all three elements, about the adult attachment style, about the love blocks, and definitely about the core beliefs and how they all work together to create your romantic relationship style, so you know what you're working with, so you can understand what's happening behind the scenes. Okay, that's what Shakespeare said, right? All the world's a stage and everyone plays their part. Well, my saying is we're all stars of our own show. Everyone else is a bit player. They might be supporting cast, depending on if they made the cut, right? It could be your co-star, but really you're the star of the show. But don't you want to know what's on the script? Because you wrote it. You need to be knowing what's on that script, what's going on behind the scenes. Okay, head producer, star, and writer of your show, be aware of what you are presenting and what you're putting out there. So if you're interested, you need to do that. I think so. Make sure you contact me so we can help you get that all squared away, and we can get you onto that loving companionship that you really, really want to have, and that I want you to have as well. Okay, well, thanks for your time, everyone. Went a little over today. Apologize for that. I'm taking a little talky. And I will hopefully talk with you soon. Ciao for now, dear hearts. We'll talk soon.